everybody, my name's Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Recently, I have not been reading as many books as I was during the first year of my reading journey. I have still been trying to force myself to read the 6 to 8 books a month that I was previously, and it just isn't working for me. So this week I thought it would be a fun idea to do kind of a realistic how much I actually read in a week kind of reading vlog. Something where I don't feel like I'm pressured to read 3 books in a reading vlog in order to make it, you know, interesting and fun content. I can kind of go through some of the other things that I'm doing in a day besides reading, and it'll just still be interesting and hopefully fun to watch for you guys, and hopefully take some pressure off of myself from feeling like I need to read as many books as possible when it's just not doable for me right now. To start off with, I am reading Light Lark. I did start this book actually a couple months ago, and then I soft DNF'd it just because my hold with Libby was up. I took too long to get to it, and I couldn't renew it because somebody else was waiting for it. So I did go back, put myself on the waiting list for this guy again, and now I have it on Libby. Obviously, I could have read the physical book, but you don't know me if you think that I'm going to do that. I prefer to read on my Kindle. It makes things so much easier for me, especially right now when I'm kind of trying to fit reading in random places throughout the day. I will probably be starting with this guy. I am starting this video on Tuesday. I do typically work on Tuesdays, but today's my husband's birthday, so I had the day off. So it's a little bit later. It's about 3 p.m. right now. I am not going to start reading right away just because I have to finish making my husband's birthday cake right now, so that'll be fun. Maybe I'll show you guys the finished product for that guy. It's probably not going to look very cute, but he wanted an ice cream cake, so I'm hoping it tastes really good. It's his favorite ice cream of all time. It's pretty expensive, so hopefully he really likes it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm probably going to tuck into Light Lark, hopefully. Hopefully I'm gonna get some reading done today. That is the goal. I'll check in with you guys when I'm ready to sit down and pick up a book. It is the next day, it's Wednesday, and yesterday I read a total of 0 pages. Absolutely nothing at all. I did not read, which, understandable. It was Eric's birthday. My husband's name is Eric, if you don't know, but it was his birthday, so I don't know. Stuff happens. We were busy. We did a bunch of stuff, so obviously I wasn't going to prioritize reading over spending time with him and doing fun things. Today, I did go back to work today, got off work, I came home, edited a video that I have filmed while walking on my walking pad, or at least tried to. Honestly, I was dealing with some issues, so I actually didn't get anything done editing-wise, but I tried my hardest, okay? After that, I made dinner, and now I'm here. It's pretty late. I think I have like 2 hours before I should be in bed. I know I need to shower, but then after that, I think I'm gonna just tuck into Light Lark. I think even if I read a chapter tonight, I will be happy with that because it's a little late. I definitely have to shower. Luckily, I don't have to wash my hair today, but I do have to be up kind of early tomorrow, and I am planning to spend a couple hours editing, trying to make up for all the editing that I didn't actually get done today, tomorrow morning. We'll see how much we get through, but we're really only on day 2 of the week since I started this on Tuesday. I don't know if I'm gonna go Tuesday to Monday. That feels like a stretch. I might go Tuesday to Sunday and just skip Monday, have it be a 6-day week. Who cares? You know, this is a realistic what I read in a week vlog. So I'm gonna be realistic about it. 6 days feels realistic. I will check in with you guys maybe tonight, probably tomorrow. It is now Thursday. Last night ended up reading like 37 pages. I think I went from chapter 9 to like chapter 11, maybe 12 or 13. I don't know. But I did not read very much in Lightlark, which is fine. You know, I'm happy that I read and I was enjoying what I was reading, so that's good. I just got off work and I'm making dinner right now. I'm making salmon Caesar salad, so which is like my favorite dinner of all time is salmon Caesar salad. I don't know what it is. I don't really like chicken Caesar salad. I just don't really like chicken. I think it's kind of icky, but salmon Caesar salad is everything that chicken Caesar salad wants to be and cannot be, honestly. So I don't know. Yeah, I think the whole point of this video is just to tell you that I love salmon Caesar salad, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I haven't talked about the book at all. Basically, Lightlark is about this girl, Isla, and she is the ruler of the wildlings. There is like 7 different, what are they called? They're not kingdoms, but they're kind of realms. I guess they call them realms. There are like 7 different realms, and each has a ruler, and like some time ago, all of the realms came under a curse. So they all have different types of magic, like wildlings supposedly control nature, but their curse made it so that they can't fall in love and they're supposed to eat human hearts. So I think once a month they're supposed to eat human hearts to stay alive. So kind of weird. Very original in that sense, the way the curse is set up, and it works differently for each of the different realms. I feel like the curse kind of plays off their specific powers and what they were kind of like born to do, I guess, which, you know, makes it more cruel because of it. Like one of the realms, they're cursed to not live past 25, which is kind of crazy, especially considering the fact that the people of Lightlark live for hundreds and hundreds of years. When this curse started, there was a prophecy saying that once every 100 years there will be a centennial, and then basically all of the rulers of the realms will get together and I guess somehow break this curse, but one of the rulers will have to die, and if one of the rulers dies, then without an heir, then all of the people of that realm will also die. So the stakes are high, and Isla is one of the youngest rulers, I think maybe the youngest ruler, besides the ruler from the realm where they can only live until they're 25. She's not super hopeful that she's going to end up breaking the curses for all the realms, but she's got this plan in place to break the curse for her own realm and maybe somebody else's realm, and then she's also really just trying to survive the centennial since it's basically a series of trials. So it's like a very classic YA romantasy about like a young girl protagonist and there's a series of trials, and then, you know, there's some hot guys that she's gonna fall in love with, you know. It's fun though. I'm having a good time. It's not like the best read I've ever read so far, but I'm really only 100 pages in. I will say one thing that I have noticed that I really liked, I was thinking about it last night, was the fact that each chapter is almost like its own little story. You know, the chapters aren't necessarily in succession, so it's not like where this chapter ends, the next chapter picks up. It's like there's time in between, and each chapter is almost like its own little event, at least so far. That might change later in the book, but that has helped in the sense that it's like, it was easy to come back to because I did soft DNF it originally. And then also, I just feel like it's fun to read. I personally love an anthology. I love a short story. So it kind of almost has the vibe of like an anthology with a bunch of short stories in it, but they're all about this one thing. So I like that. The writing's not too terrible. The story's interesting. I don't necessarily know where it's gonna go. Like, I have a lot of questions, and it's been pretty difficult for me not to just like Google it, because sometimes honestly I'm guilty. If I'm like really worried about something, I know it could potentially really break my heart, I will just Google it to make sure that nothing bad happens to a character, or just, I don't know, random stuff like that. So I'm trying not to do that as much because it would be fun if it was kind of more of a surprise. So we're not Googling. So that's where I'm at ultimately with Lightlark. I think it's kind of crazy that I've only read 37 pages and it's Thursday. Honestly, I feel like there have been definitely some instances and some times where I could be reading, but I haven't for whatever reason. I think I am going to hop off. I might film a little bit of me reading. I'm not really sure if I'm going to be in the mood or if I'm just going to want to like be ugly and like rot in my bed and read. Who knows? We'll see. So it's Friday now. I did not end up filming myself reading last night. I didn't want to put the effort in to like set up my camera and deal with the light. The light is so bright. Sometimes it hurts my eyes when I'm reading. I couldn't be bothered, so I didn't. I read to page 148 last night, and what is that? 45 pages? Yeah, 45 pages. So still not much. Still a very low amount this week so far. Honestly, it is what it is. So I did work this morning. It was interesting. I did get off early. I was home by 1. Oh my gosh. I came home and I was gonna walk on my walking pad and edit my video that's going to be posted the day after tomorrow that I haven't started editing at all. So it's been so nice. It's 60 degrees today. So I couldn't help myself. I went outside instead and I walked for like 2 hours. I am very lucky. I live right next to a really large park with like a little trail system in it, so I can just kind of like walk out my door and, go on a really long walk if I want to, like not on streets. I hate walking along roads, honestly. So I started walking. My plan was to only do an hour and then turn around, but I just could not bring myself to turn around and go back inside. I just wanted to be outside. So that's what I did. Now I'm back. I really need to edit my video. I'm so torn. I want to read so badly. I'm actually like really into the book now. I feel like some things have been happening. We've been finding things out, and I'm interested and I'm invested, but I just really freaking need to edit this video so that I'm not up until the middle of the night tomorrow night trying to get this edited. It's so hard because I don't want to edit. I want to read instead. And so I find myself just getting distracted every 5 minutes while I'm editing because I want to be doing something else. So maybe I should just do exactly what I want. That sounds nice. Maybe I'll do that. Damien's here. So it's Sunday, which means that I did not film at all on Saturday. I got home from work on Saturday and I just did not want to. I had read a little bit more on Friday. I think I went from like 25 or 30% of the way through Lightlark to about 50, a little less than 50% of the way through. I just was loving it so much. I just wanted to chill and finish this book. I had the place to myself and I spent the entire night reading and ended up finishing Lightlark. It was so much fun. I had the best time reading this book yesterday. I just sat there for hours on my couch reading. It was great. I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. There was something about this book that was the perfect vibes, okay? And vibes, honestly, are so important to me. I'm gonna be honest, like, I am the worst at judging a book and reviewing a book for all of its different, like, aspects, like plot, character development, writing, all that stuff. A book could be terrible in all those aspects, and I could still really enjoy it just because I'm a vibes reader. Yeah, I'm just a vibes reader. Lightlark hit the vibes, okay? It was the perfect mix of those YA romantasy vibes that I personally love. We've got the like headstrong, overpowered female main character that also has like a big disadvantage in some way. The trials were really fun. They were interesting because the trials weren't everybody's fighting to kill each other kind of trials. it was a lot more political, it felt. I don't know. There just were some aspects to it that I feel like made it a little bit different. The trials weren't so cutthroat, but they were interesting, and they had a really obvious purpose, which I thought was interesting and made it a lot more fun. I didn't even mind the love triangle, honestly, because the love triangle is not super present in this book until kind of the end. And a lot of the time that I was sitting there reading, I was like, how is this going to become a love triangle? I do not see romantic feelings in between two people, but by the end it did make sense. I was reading one of the last chapters and I just was sitting there and I'm like, oh my god, how are they going to resolve this love triangle? So I thought that it was kind of crazy to go from how is this going to be a love triangle to how are they going to resolve this love triangle. I feel like I left this book knowing exactly who she should be with. And I know that the love triangle does extend through another 2 books, so I have no clue where I'm going to end up in each of those books before it's ultimately decided how the love triangle pans out. So I'm actually really curious to see how I feel going through the next few books in the series. I feel like that's going to be a lot of fun. How this ended up really did shock me. Some aspects were a little bit predictable, which, you know, it's YA romantasy. After you've read a certain amount of them, you just do kind of know where they're gonna go. But a lot of this felt different and interesting from some of the other YA romantasy books that I've read recently. So it was a really good time. I had a lot of fun. My main critique was probably that sometimes Isla, the main character, was just like a little too overpowered. It was annoying that it was like, she's so good at this and she's so good at that, but then all of a sudden in one scene, like, she can't do anything against this person. I don't know. It was a weird mix of those two things, and I don't feel like it always matched up. Like, I feel like there were times where she should have been able to defend herself a little bit more easily, or there were times when I felt like she should have not been able to do something so easily. So that was maybe just a little annoying, but ultimately, I had a really good time reading this. It was interesting. I really wanted to jump right into the next book in the series, but I am holding off. I'm not going to do it just yet. I'm going to put it down on my series tracker, and then maybe in some videos coming up, I might read the next books as a part of like a trying to complete series that I'm in the middle of reading vlog thing. So that's Light Lark. Had a really good time. I'm so glad I finally got to this too, because this book actually has been on my TBR shelf for over a year at least. Not as long as some of the books that have been on my TBR, but definitely long enough. So I'm really happy I got to it, and I'm very excited to continue with the rest of the books in the series. So right after I finished Light Lark last night, I picked up Lights Out, and I read like 2 chapters of it. Let me look. I read a couple chapters, but at this point, I literally was just falling asleep. Like, I was holding my Kindle and falling asleep at the same time, so I stopped reading. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta go to bed. Let's see. I got to page 13. So far, obviously, I can't talk about my thoughts and feelings on this book yet, just because page 13, like, what do I know? You know? I feel like I've talked about this book and what it's about so many times already on my channel, because this was in a reading haul, and then also it's appeared on several of my TBRs now. So thank goodness I'm finally getting to it. But it's basically about a trauma nurse, Allie. She's a trauma nurse. She is into, like, men who post thirst traps online wearing masks. And there's this guy who is roommates with a guy she used to hook up with, and he posts thirst traps wearing masks on the internet. So obviously a match made in heaven right there. I'm pretty sure I've heard that, like, he starts off kind of stalking her and being like a little weird, but then there's another guy who's stalking her a lot more and being even weirder. And so I don't know. I just feel like this book is going to be kind of all over the place, and I am not necessarily super sure of what I'm going into. But so far, I have really liked the writing. I don't know. Just the way that things are described, I could not tell you why I like it, but I feel like there's something about the sentence structure in this book that just kind of like scratches an itch in my brain specifically. I do feel like it overly explains things, but it doesn't bother me at all because there's just something about it. I don't know. Could not tell you. Maybe I'll figure it out as I read more of the book. It's interesting. I'm intrigued. I am excited to continue reading it. I do think I'm not going to film past today. Like, I'm going to read today and then probably do like a recap either tonight or tomorrow of what I read and like how much I actually ended up reading in this week. I don't have too many plans today. I might try to get out of the house and then I want to do some cleaning. But I think after how much fun I had yesterday just sitting down and reading for literal hours with Lightlark, I do think that I want to try and do that today a little bit too and sit down and get through a big chunk of this book as well. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it. I think it would take me like 5 or 6 hours to finish this book, so I don't know if I have that kind of time today, but if I do, I definitely will try to take advantage of it and get this book finished before the end of this reading vlog. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm probably gonna get to reading. I don't know yet. Things will happen. I'll keep you updated though and let you know what I end up doing. So today is Monday, which means that it is the end of the reading vlog. Technically, I did start this reading vlog on a Tuesday, so I could include Monday and have that be like a full 7-day week. However, I do think that I'm probably not going to read today. I need to do a ton of editing because I haven't done any editing at all this week. I have said several times in this video that I'm going to spend some time editing, and every single time I have not. So, oopsies. I don't know. It is what it is. But I did get some good reading done. I ended up reading yesterday 125 pages of Lights Out by Navessa Allen. We'll talk about this book a little bit just because I don't want to like leave you guys hanging on what my thoughts are, and I'm not probably gonna feature me reading the rest of it in another reading vlog. I probably won't speak about it again until my February reading wrap up, but it is fun so far. I definitely am enjoying the banter between the characters. It is so much more romance heavy than I thought it was going to be though. I feel that even in the majority of the romance books that I read, there's still a lot of plot that happens, whereas in this it feels like it's just all about the two characters and their interactions. I do also feel that the two characters, like, they haven't figured everything out yet, but I feel like they're in a pretty good place, and we're only 100 pages in, so I'm kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop. I feel like something else has got to happen that's going to add something to the rest of this book. You know, I'm hopeful that it will become maybe a touch more interesting, but it's not bad. It's definitely an enjoyable book. It's not what I necessarily wanted to read at the moment that I picked it up, unfortunately. I started reading it just because it was available on Libby and I only have a few days left to read it. So I'm trying to really prioritize reading my Libby books when they actually become available to me instead of letting them expire and then trying to request these books over and over again, because I just find that I'm in the mood for the book when I request it, but by the time I actually get it, I'm not in the mood for it anymore. And so I'm just trying to force myself to read these books a little bit more because this is just a really bad habit that I'm developing. I'm very interested to see what I'm going to think when I finish this book and like see what my thoughts are going to be when I do my February reading wrap up. The lighting's changing, so please don't pay attention to that. Those are my thoughts on Lights Out. I did read 125 pages of this last night. Not necessarily last night. I did read 125 pages of it yesterday, and I read 139 pages total in this book. And then Lightlark. I already spoke about kind of my thoughts and feelings on this book, so I'm not going to go into it again, but I did really enjoy this book. And I'm excited to go into the next books in the series, saga, whatever it's going to end up being. I did start this book technically before I started this reading vlog, so I really only read 343 pages of this book, in this week, in this realistic weekly reading vlog. So that is a total of 482 pages that I read between these books in this realistic week of reading, which I think is pretty good. I feel like it is pretty on track for what I do read in a week. I tend to read a little bit more than one book in a week. I feel like that's pretty on par. 482, almost 500 pages. It would have been nice if I could have hit 500 pages, but you know, I definitely did a lot more reading towards the end of the week, closer to the weekend and like in my weekend than any other part of the week, which is interesting to see, definitely, but not something that surprises me necessarily. I do feel that I tend to not read as much during the work week just because I work and then I've got things to do when I get home, and you know, we're all on the same boat, most likely. You know, all of us who are working out here are probably in the same boat with our reading hobbies or any of our hobbies, in all honesty. I will say though, some weeks I do find that I start the week out with more motivation to read, and so I will read more on the first couple nights of my work week than I will on the last nights of my work week, just because by the end of the week I do tend to be really tired. But I think because I was having such a good time reading Lightlark this week and I really wanted to read it, that kind of pushed me to want to read more towards the end of the week. Okay, so that's going to conclude this realistic what I read in a week reading vlog. I hope that you guys liked this. I hope that you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!